Alright guys, we are back for another Fusion tutorial, and look, this one is actually going to be something that we are doing practical. So we have 3D scanned an old car that doesn't have door trims. Now we want to make a aluminium panel door trim. Just want to take a second in this video for a shout out to LaserCorp. Now LaserCorp are an Australian online laser cutting service where you can upload this door trim, for example. They'll cut it out of aluminium and they'll ship it to your door. So check out lasercorp.com.au and get designing. That's going to pick up on all the pre-existing holes. We're going to nutsert the pre-existing holes, and then that's going to allow us to bolt it on. Now this car has a window winder, and it's also got a little door latch that we'll have to work around as well. So let's get stuck into it, and I'm going to do that first by importing our 3D scan into Fusion. So let's head over to Fusion. Now we're going to click Insert Mesh. That's what we use to import a 3D scan. Now this is quite time consuming, and this is the worst part. So let's open this up. Now this is a Suzuki door trim. Now the computer's going to think for a little bit now because 3D scan files are quite large. Alrighty, so I normally click center just because it gets me pretty much in the middle of everything, and then click OK. Don't worry about adjusting it or anything in that first thing because it's a pain in the neck because you can't put angles in. Now what we want to do is, now this is our 3D scan of the door. You can see that it hasn't imported itself with any kind of amazing orientation. So what we want to do is we just want to get it to basically sit perfectly on a face. Now it is really close, one of the closer that we've gotten. You can see here that it's definitely angled. So what we want to do with Fusion is we want to press M for move, and let's just click on it, and we basically just want to use the grid lines. You'll see here the grid line. We basically just want to get it as close to the grid line as possible. And then let's just click OK on that one. Now obviously you've got 3 axes to play with. This one actually looks kind of good. You can see this line here seems to match up quite well. And then obviously that's the back, we want to be on the front. Now let's just click on here and we'll just square the base up. See, we've just used the bottom of the door there along that line. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, especially in this orientation. Obviously this way and this way, it does play a part because you don't want to run into some kind of error where, let's just actually tweak that. See how you've got your angles here? Fusion always wants to kind of snap to it, so we just want maybe like -1, 1.2, 1.3. I reckon 1.3 is pretty good. Now, as you can see, the scan has shown up pretty good. It's kind of got all your holes. So we want to use this one, oh maybe not that one, this one, sorry. So once we've got it set on an area up here that you can click on and always stay straight, let's just start a sketch, and let's just click anywhere here basically. Now this is not going to sketch exactly on the surface, so what we want to do is we just want to do the perimeter. So any of the straight lines, knock them out first. So for example, we just want to be at the bottom here because as you can see, this little piece here, that kind of steps up and over. So we want to just run our door trim to here. Now, obviously that line isn't exactly slapping horizontal because obviously the door is probably not exactly horizontal, but for this exercise, it doesn't really matter. We just want to follow what the 3D scan has done. If you follow the data, generally you'll get the result. So the first 2 tools that I used there was just the generic line tool, and now we're going to follow it with a couple of curves just with the fit point spline tool. So we're just going to basically travel along here, just a little bit in from the edge. You don't really want to go right on the edge. I think we'll just finish it there. And then we're going to get L for line. And we're going to do this bottom part here. Now you can even, if you wanted to, you could always just click past the joint. Sometimes it helps when you're creating something where you don't necessarily know where the line has to finish. So if you just made that line long and then finish with this, you can, probably babbling on a bit here, but you can usually find the point of intersection at a later date. All right, now back to an L for line, and we're going to go up to here. And then we're going to continue it to here. Now you'll see I'll probably want to bring this one out a bit, so you can just click that point and just bring it up until you're kind of happy with where it sits, which I reckon about there. Alright, so we've created the door trim. Now what we want to do is we also want to do a circle here, so that'll cover that part. And I need to actually go and measure this part. What we're going to do though is we're going to just get it close, because this little exterior perimeter here is like a flange that it sits over. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to, now a 3D scan is only ever good for just making sure you're in the ballpark. So you'll see here, I'm more so following this perpendicular, parallel from this line, because I know that this door latch is parallel to this top of the door. So even though the scans picked it up that the door latch, because it's probably not bolted in properly, is on an angle, I'm just going to pretend it's not. You can see here I've started close on this end and close on this end, and you'll see that I've got roughly the same dimension here. And then I'm just going to get the point tool, and if I was going to make a whole heap of these, I would absolutely nail this part of it, because obviously you want to create a part that you can consistently use and know is bang on. I think that'll be pretty close. So if I was doing this properly, I would go and perhaps measure this, or even 3D scan it as a separate thing, just so I know that this hole that I'm creating is going to suit the door latch absolutely perfect. Anyway, I think that is the perimeter on the sketch. How long are we? We're not, probably maybe 5 minutes if I was going proper. So we're going to click flange tool because we are in the Sheetmetal workspace, and we are going to click that. Now we want to go aluminium 2mm because that's what we're going to be doing it out of, and you'll go, oh, it's behind. And that's because the sketch plane that we clicked and drew on was actually behind the model. So that's fine. That's completely okay. To make it more realistic, I'm just going to pull this forward and get it in front of the door. And you can see here, this is another good way to actually tell if your drawing is pretty square or not. When you bring your thing through, you'll notice up here in the top, it's starting to completely come through, whereas at the bottom it's not completely through yet. So see how it's still coming through and it's slowly fading and now it's solid? Look, realistically, that's going to be close enough. If you looked from here, it's really quite close. So let's just click OK there, and we've created that and pulled it in front of the car. Once it has a bit of a think, you do need quite a powerful computer to do these, because the 3D scans do have quite a bit of data that's within them, and it can really slow down. Now we do want to make these a little bit nicer, so we're going to press F for fillet. Oops, not that little piece, that one. And this one as well. And over here. And that should do really. So I'll just click it back to there so I can get now I only want these to be small just so they look nice. Beautiful. Done. Alright, so that is the door trim made from aluminium, fully done. That's the workflow that I use to get the desired result. Now, as usual, to get this ready for a laser cutter, you click create flat pattern, you click on the face, you click OK. Now, in this, you'll notice that the 3D scan does come through. Don't worry about it. It won't take into account the 3D scan when you're exporting your DXF. Export the DXF, click OK, and you're done. Now, that is the simplest workflow to make this thing a real object. You can do this with, and 3D scanners are only getting better. I mean, the 3D scanner that we used for this was our most basic one, and it was made by 3D Maker Pro, I think it's called. And I think I even bought that scanner during a Kickstarter campaign, and it only owed me about $400 or $500 at the time. I think they're up a little bit more from that, but it just goes to show that if you are doing this, you don't need to buy a $10,000 scanner unless you're doing this professionally. Now, have a look. I'll put a link to the 3D scanner that we use below. You can get one, have a bit of a play around, use it for your projects at home. They are pretty user friendly, and yeah, that's the workflow done on how to make a door trim and 3D scans.